Oh, the excitement! The Artcasts are back after almost an entire year. That's embarrassing. Hello, Doodlebugs. It's Mary, and this is a real-time painting video. If you're wanting to watch the time-lapse version of this, of course, I will have a link on the screen right now and in the description below. So if you're not into the longer videos, you can go check out that. I have about 5 years worth of time-lapse videos. So I think that'll keep you satisfied until the next one comes out. But until then, that's the back of my head. Now you know. This is going to be just going through the real-time process of making a fairly recent painting from BadToWorse. And right now, let's begin with the materials and tools and why I'm taping down the paper. I've recently gotten into putting borders on my paintings, and I don't know, I feel like it looks nice and crisp, and once the painting's done, you get to peel the tape off, and it's just this nice little reveal, and it's got this very crisp and clean and professional look that I've been digging lately. So in some of my more recent paintings, I've been taping the edges. The kind of tape I'm using is on the other side of the room, and I don't want to get it. But it's a artist's painter's tape. It's very similar to masking tape. Pretty much it's pH neutral or some sciencey thing, whatever. The idea is that the adhesive doesn't damage the paper or cause it to age or wear or deteriorate as fast as normal masking tape. It's a little fancier, a little more pricier, but that said, I don't know. I do this for a living now, so I guess I'll pay a few more dollars for my tape. It's not that bad of an expense. Let's not talk about money. Let's talk about the washes here that's happening. And then later on in the video, I'll get into the questions. Oh, and you may have noticed from the title, this is a part 1. I have split this painting into 2 parts because it's an hour and 40 minutes process, and I don't want to keep you here that long. I don't want to keep me here that long. My coffee is warm right now, and it better be gone by the time this video is done. So I'm beginning this painting with a wash. And you may see some pencil lines in the lower left-hand part of the screen is the eye of the whale and its mouth a little bit. We're like right in the middle of the whale here. So yes, I do sketch and outline my paintings. This one I did very extensive sketches in my sketchbook just to get down the shape and the composition of the characters. And then once I have that figured out, then I get my watercolor paper. This is a 140-pound watercolor paper. I think it's from Canson. And then I do a very light pencil outline on that. So once I have my pencil outline and ready to go, then I like to start my paintings with a wash. You don't have to, and it's kind of a phase I'm going through. But it's really a good way to set this undertone of your painting, to put down a color and then build up on that. And yellows I find work very nicely because it's a weaker color when it comes to watercolor. So other colors lay on top of it very easily as opposed to a blue or deeper, more vibrant color. Not to say yellow isn't vibrant. I just find that when it goes up against the other colors, it does not dominate as much. So the idea of the wash is that you lay down a lot of water and then you lay down watercolor paint on top of that, and the paint will spread out and bleed as you go and create interesting shapes, and you have a little less control of it. But that said, as long as the entire page isn't super washy and you don't go overboard with the water, you can kind of manipulate and decide where it's going to be more heavy with paint and where it's going to be lighter with paint. And then it dries into really interesting shapes. If you're starting with a wash, I do recommend do a light layer because you can always add to it, but it's very difficult to take away once you put watercolor down. And you're probably noticing I am sketching now with the paints. I am creating, there's a sailor and he's battling a giant squid and they're going to be in the belly of a whale. Spoiler alert. I didn't have the sailor sketched out very well on the watercolor paper, on my final paper. And so to kind of get around that, I'm doing a very light sketch of the sailor using the paint and trying to use lighter layers. A lot of yellows and eventually reds and more fleshy colors are going to be featured in the belly of the whale. And then everything outside of that is going to be like a cold blue, oceany color. So using these lighter yellows, I've got like the butt of the sailor and then his leg is shooting to the right. And there's a tentacle that I'm now sketching wrapped around his leg. This is a technique I've been playing with a lot more, sketching with the paint and then going through and outlining it and defining it. And I like how much depth it gives you. And also sketching really is, some people do like to rock star and be like, I don't sketch anything. And if that works for you, that works. And if it gets you a style that you enjoy, that's amazing. But sketching isn't something to just shrug off. It's kind of an important part of creating a drawing or a painting, and the pros do it. Everybody does it. So you're not a lesser artist for sketching beforehand. And you'll probably see the sailor's figure and me trying to figure out where to move forward next. A lot of pausing. I remember I was, definitely considering the shape and where the lines and the forms are going to go on this. But I feel like as I was sketching the sailor, it did change and warp and adjust as far as his actual form goes and where he is and the proportions. Again, that's what sketching's for. You know, you kind of chisel away at it until the figure becomes a little more solid and a little more formed. So that's the technique that I've been using lately. And it does add a little bit of depth. It makes it a bit more interesting, I feel. Let's do some question answering, because I did a Q&A video last week, which got some questions rolling, and I asked for some Artcast questions, and you had a bunch of interesting ones. Let's see. Let's begin with Susie Squid Ink. Oh, and this is a relevant one, which is why I'm excited to read it. Okay, Susie Squid Ink says, would like to hear you discuss how Workspace affects creativity in your in your real-time video. Thanks for another great video, Mary. All right, Workspace and creativity. This has touched my heart in all the places because I've just rearranged my art workspace and it feels so good. I'm an adult. I can do that, which is nice. I feel like everybody's got their own thing. There's no one solution that's going to solve all of your problems. The one thing I do find that works consistently, though, is taking time to pause in your life and reflect on what's working and what isn't working. And, it's a continuous thing. It's like the dishes. You're always going to be doing dishes no matter what. You'll wash the sink is full of dishes. You wash them all, dry them all, get them put away. And eventually you're going to have to repeat that process. That's just kind of what life is. Things go through these cycles of getting mucked up and cluttered, and then you got to just reset it. So my workspace is this constant work in progress. I've just rearranged it, got a new editing desk. This is what I'm really excited for. Because I've been doing this long enough to have, I should have done this years ago, just get a desk and a setup that is designed around the work that I do. And, as you grow and go through life, there's probably going to be times where you can't be as picky. And then there are times when you can be picky. I know my first editing and art situations have been just when I first moved to LA. I had a drawing table that I found at Goodwill, which was awesome at first. And then I realized it didn't work out. It was a great score, great thrift store find. It was a giant drafting table. So it was huge, and the table could tilt upward at an angle, which makes it easier for drawing. You're not hunched over the table. And then it had a built-in straight edge that could slide up and down, and a really cool table. I learned it wasn't the table for me. And that was a hard one to let go because it was such a great score and such a useful tool to somebody else. Because I'm doing watercolor, I need like my paints and my jars of water right next to me. And the table being at an angle did not allow for that. So then I had to find a second table to put the stuff that needed to be on a flat surface. It was just a whole thing. And the table itself was huge. I was living in an apartment in LA with roommates, and the only place I could put it was in the dining nook, which is right by the kitchen. It's in a corner, but kind of involved in everyone's space. God bless nice Peter. I was living with him at the time, and he was very tolerant of me taking up what could have been our dining nook. And then again, we lived in another place where it was a 3-bedroom place, and I had one whole room to myself, and my roommates and Pete were very understanding of that, which is very kind of them. So yeah, the Workspace is definitely something that if you can tailor it to your needs, whatever they are, that is amazing. And I do feel like that helps with productivity and creativity because you're affected with what's around you, whether it's music, mood, the environment, if you're in an urban dwelling versus a peaceful, rustic cabin away from all other humans. Are you upset? Are you feeling pretty excited about something or giddy? Are you obsessing over a thing? All of that kind of goes into what you make, whether it's obvious or not. And that's kind of the cool thing about art. And when you hear the stories behind paintings and works, that just kind of feeds into where the stuff comes from. So, I also think with this particular painting, from BadToWorse, let me look at the shadows. Yes, I just gotten new lights, which I'm still on the fence about. But they're LED lights and they kind of cast double shadows. Oh, maybe it isn't this video. I will determine that later. But so I do feel like the space does affect your creativity. And if you can manipulate that space to help you work, I highly recommend that. And that does take you have to stop yourself and meditate on it and assess what helps me, what doesn't. Some people do want a blank room, and some people want things and stuff all over the walls and colors and sound. So it's really, it differs from person to person. Let's see. Next question is from Hattie the Pirate, who says, I'm an illustration student in my first year of university, and I was struggling with finding my own style for ages. Last night, I got out my watercolors and some watercolor paper and did a quick 10-minute doodle of my boyfriend on Skype. That's so sweet. I just painted. I put it on Instagram and everyone loves it. I also didn't use any black, just mainly browns and earth tones. I think going out of my comfort zone definitely worked. Thanks, Mary. Oh, thank you. I guess that's not a question. I grabbed that comment because it's addressing in the Q&A. I recommended doing something outside of your comfort zone regarding finding your art style, because you fall in love with what you love. It's like when you go to a restaurant and you enjoy this certain meal and you always order the same thing off the menu. Maybe trying something else, you might find your new favorite meal. And it's that kind of thing. And artists, sometimes you find a style that you like and then you emulate it, and then you just hang on to that and you don't want to veer away from it. But then you start realizing, oh, this is all my work looks exactly like all this other work that I fell in love with. How can I make it different? And because when you idolize a certain style or a certain technique or way of making art, it almost becomes this dogma in your head, and then I'm going to use anime as an example. I'm not saying that all anime is terrible and worthless. I'm not saying that. For me, I learned to draw because I loved anime, and I would draw characters from the Pokemon comics and all that stuff. And for years, that is the standard I held my own work to. And so my style just looked like the generic brand of, you could not pick my artwork out of a lineup of so many other people's artwork. And, that was kind of bothering me. And I at the time, I didn't know why, but I just kind of felt like my work is meh and my work isn't quite mine. How do I adjust this? And I think that adjustment was a matter of letting go of the kind of work I idolized when I learned how to paint and draw. So, that's really cool to hear that you tried something totally different and new, and that you shared it too, because that's a whole other scary step, and people loved it. You never know. You never know until you try and see what people react to and what you react to. So that's really cool. Next comment is from Nicholas Hardesty, who says, for your Artcast, my question is, what is it like being a full-time artist? How did you get to where you are as an artist? What is it like being a full-time artist? I wonder if I can sum this up in one sentence. It's frustratingly liberating. It's surreal. I'm still waiting for some government organization to kick down my front door and be like, get back to work. Get back in the office. I think, and then at the same time, it's kind of become status quo, my routine and what I do. I've been doing it for so long. I think most of my life I've been avoiding getting jobs that I don't like, as every step of the way has been moving forward toward that goal, which is not necessarily a goal of what I wanted to do, but more so what I didn't want to do. And I think that's kind of a good thing to think about when you're moving forward and trying to do whatever it is you're passionate about. I think too often people settle for what they feel is safe, or they feel like later I can do that thing that I love. Like I'm going to work really hard now because once I save up, then I can go live on a fishing boat for a year and get to know the sea. And there's some wisdom in that. There's definitely wisdom in that. But then you also got to realize that maybe now is the only time you have. I recently saw that it was some motivational quote. I was on Reddit. I don't know, man. Or maybe I was on Pinterest. I was probably on Pinterest. I cannot tell you exactly what the quote is, but it was basically saying, don't bet all your happiness on the chance that you can do it later, or that you will live to do it later. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's dark. Yeah. I think, so going back to your question of how did you get to where you are as an artist? I don't have one thing that I can point to. There's little defining moments in my life that, it's just a string of opportunities that I said yes to or no to. Things like my mom was always coming back from the bank, would have coloring contests around holidays especially, and she would always bring those to me, and I would draw, I'd color things in with crayon, and then I'd win, and so I'd get praise and feedback, and people would be like, oh, you're so good at that, and I just kept doing it, and then then it's making the decision to try freelancing with this skill and to treat my skill like it has value, which causes people to value it, and stuff like that. So I think it's a string of saying yes to opportunities that go toward that objective, and having faith that that will work out, because it can be scary when you're just looking at your future and wondering, how is this going to pan out? How am I going to continue getting away with making art? But it works, and it's a constant thing. I think we tend to have this fantasy. It's like the adult fairy tale of happily ever after. I got a job, yay, happily ever after. No, never have to worry about anything again. And that's just not true. And that's what I love about art, because it is constantly moving from one thing to the next thing. And it's shocking. I've been doing YouTube for 5 years now or so, since 2011. And that's the longest I've been doing something consistently. But even then, within that, in this YouTube chapter of my life, I've been changing things up and finding new things to make it interesting, like the Artcasts. That was a project, or these videos were a concept that I rolled the dice and tried out, and I like it and people like it, so that's something to keep doing. And that's what I love. I think just the variety, the ability to constantly change things up. It's both exciting and terrifying, because some people go for careers where they can point to where they are pretty sure they will be in 10 years. I have no idea where I'm going to be in 10 years. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. And that's kind of okay. I feel like, not to say that I'm doing it better than anyone, but I feel like living like that is kind of more grounded to reality, because let's say you have this secure job and, you plan on getting this promotion, and then in 10 years you'll be in this position. Well, I mean, a hurricane can take all that away, or a disabling accident, or something positive could take all that away. Maybe you fall in love with somebody and then they work in Paris and you have to go live in Paris or somewhere else if you're already living in Paris. The point is, there are no guarantees in life, and so living as if there are guarantees is kind of like the adult fantasy. Not in a dirty way when I say adult fantasy. Dang it, why did pornography have to take the word adult away to describe things? Anyway, and that is my long answer to a short question. I got a comment from Jacob Brown saying, coming back to the art college thing. Oh, and this is regarding, in the Q&A video, I got a question about whether or not you should or need to, or if it's better to go to art college or to just learn on your own. And Jacob Brown had a brilliant comment regarding that. I thought he put it very elegantly, saying, I just wanted to add one thing. You don't need to go to art school to learn arts. That's how easy it is. However, if you find yourself not working hard enough on becoming an artist, or not setting goals for yourself, mostly because of lack of discipline, art school will be a huge help. This is why I chose to start studying animation, and I never regretted the choice. And that's amazing, Jacob. I'm glad to hear that you have no regret with the direction you took, because regret is the saddest thing ever. It's sadder than kittens in the rain. I just think that was a very wonderful, simple way of putting it. Question from Artsy Tips saying, hello, Mary. I'm in 7th grade and looking at high schools. I would like to, shopping for high schools. Man, I wish I could shop for high schools. I would like to go to a high school where their main focus is art. I've been doing art all my life and would like to turn that into a career. Would an arts high school help me do this, or is going to a regular high school just as good? By the way, Mondays are the best with your videos. Oh, thank you. Well, I would say, and this is coming from a person who did go to artsy school, if you feel very strongly that that's the direction you want to go, if that's the direction you want to go, you should totally go to arts high school. And that is amazing that you're in 7th grade and you already have a clear goal of where you want to be, or where you think that you're going to want to be. My story, I did the public school all the way up till 11th grade. A great public school, great arts programs, I mean, like when I was going to school, the school put a lot of money into just redoing a whole art wing. It was a whole wing of the building they added on that was going to be devoted to the arts. There's a kiln, there's a computer room to learn editing and digital art. It was amazing. But my senior year, there was a new charter school that opened up that was focused on art and technology. And it was 8th through 12th grade. Some friends I knew was starting this school, people I had worked with in the local community art stuff, and they invited me over. And I went, and that was amazing. I think here's where it helped me. I was already feeling senioritis, which I guess is what you call when you're a senior in high school, or you're in school still, but you're emotionally ready to move on. And that's something that happens where you get really good students who are amazing up until their senior year, when they're thinking about college, they're thinking about the next thing, and the classes that they're taking are just to, get those credits that are required, and you're really not passionate about it. You're ready to move on to something you are passionate about. And because you're in an environment doing credits for the sake of credits, doing this work because you have to, not because you want to, that can cause really good students to perform really bad, really poorly. And so I feel that going to an arts-focused high school saved my GPS. And it enabled me to focus on the things that I was passionate about while still fulfilling those mandatory state required credits to graduate and get that degree. So yes, I think if art is really what you want to focus on, and you are very young, you are so brand new into this universe and you have so much more to do. But if you feel very strongly about this, and I think maybe an arts high school will help you to maintain your focus on the things that you don't want to do, but you have to do. And isn't that what school is all about? Here's a question from Molly Bray saying, on your Thursday episode, I would really love it if you would talk about growing up, getting a job, leaving school, going to college, getting used to new things, as I am in that stage of my life where I have to get used to more complicated and bigger things in life. Love you. And then Cinza ACROT says, Bray, same. I think a lot of people agree with this question and wanted me to read it. So, growing up. This is the growing up episode of the Artcast. I'm gonna sip my coffee of wisdom. First off, if you're gonna grow up, you need to start drinking coffee. No. So one thing I have learned, the ultimate golden key or bit of discovery, is that no one knows what they're doing. We have no manual for what is going on, and we're all going to die, and we don't even know what that's all about. So we are all flying a plane with no flight instructions. That's life. It's kind of liberating once you realize that. For me personally, growing up, I was always good at cruising. I would cruise through classes and get pretty good grades. If I was terribly uninterested, I could pull myself up and motivate me to at least like maintain an impressive grade. And if I really didn't like something, then that's where I struggled. But I was really good at just sitting back and surfing. I surfed through school, and I'm very used to getting instruction and then fulfilling it. And that's how I rolled. I didn't really take a lot of initiative. I just like took the work that I was given and did it. And that's that. When you become an adult, you kind of need to take more initiative. And especially in a creative career like art, you really need to take a lot of initiative. A lot of my earlier work was freelance stuff. So you gotta put yourself out there, get creative with where to get work too. And so it's a lot more, you learn to be more aggressive. No one's gonna come to you with a job or bring you this assignment. I mean, it does happen occasionally, and it happens to me. It happened a lot when I desperately needed money, when I was reaching the end of the month and not knowing how I could pay rent. All of a sudden, a job would just magically pop up. I don't know why or how, but it happened, and I'm not going to ask why. I'm not going to ask questions. But very rarely are things presented to you or given to you. More often, you have to seek those things out. Oh gosh, there's a great quote. I believe it's luck is preparation meets opportunity. So I don't know. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I feel like that's a kind of it sums it up very nicely because, on the one hand, I did work really hard and put myself in places where it would help push me forward in the direction I wanted to go. On the other hand, I can't take full credit for that because other people presented things, or just fate presented things, or life, the universe, and everything. So, I think that was a big revelation growing up, is suddenly I have to be the engine of my own life. I have to step on the gas because no one's doing that for me. It takes a lot of self-motivation, doesn't it? Yeah, that's what leaving school is all about. And some people are naturally good at that, and some people do prefer more of that struggle and stuff. But once you get out of it and realize that you have so much more control, like the art space, the office, the studio, I rearranged it. I bought me a new table. I bought a table that was the right size, the appropriate size for me to sit and edit for hours without damaging my little wrists or my precious back. And I'm an adult and I had the money for it, so I did it. Gosh darn it. You know what else I did? Here's my moment of liberation. So I noticed that the original Pokemon series, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, were $10 to buy. And then I got a craving for Pokemon, which I hadn't played in years. And I was like, oh man, but now I gotta, get a Nintendo. Wait a minute. I'm an adult. I can get a Nintendo DS. And I have the funds. I have the money saved up. It's my fun money. I'll spend it on what I want. So you know what I did? I walked myself to the store and I bought a Nintendo DS, and then I bought the game because I know the parent password control on the credit card thingy. That's what I can do. I'm an adult. I'm not talking like one, but I am, and I have that control. So I think growing up is, getting suddenly and violently realizing that you can make terrible purchasing decisions all in one day. And by terrible purchasing decisions, I mean amazing decisions that change your life. The other fascinating thing about leaving school and college is the learning process. And it sounds so cheesy, but carrying that learning process over into the rest of your life. I find that now that I'm not in school, now is the time I want to learn the things they were trying to teach me in school. I don't know if that's just a getting older thing or if the information is much more entertaining or I'm digesting it in the way that I want to digest it. But it's stuff like history podcasts I am all about. Growing up, leaving school, going to college, and getting used to new things. I guess this is addressing this time in your life. It's not going to be the last time you reach these thresholds. I was talking with Dante a while ago about the whole 4-year concept. I feel like there's shifts every 4 years-ish. And I don't know if that's just the American school system conditioning us, because I feel like the education goes in shifts of about 4 years, 4 years of elementary school, maybe 4 years of middle school, 4 years of high school, 4 years of college. And you have a marriage that lasts 4 years, and then like a bachelor period after that lasts 4 years. I don't know. No, that's a negative projection. But the point is, I feel like every 4 years, I feel like something shifts or changes in my life, whatever it may be. And a lot of life is learning to surf that wave and do it in a way that benefits you and is positive and doesn't cause you to freak out and destroy yourself or do something that harms you. So, if you are leaving school, if you're leaving college, or if you're finding yourself in a new place, I'm going to go cite some advice from the Church of Improv and just say yes and to whatever's happening. Saying yes is accepting the situation and what's going on. Then saying and is you adding onto it. Like, yes, I'm going to college in a new state with people I don't know. And I will know these people by the end of the year. And I will know this city by the end of the year, or something like that. That's a silly example. But yeah, I guess the point is embracing the change, which is very difficult. I think people like to be comfortable, some more so than others. I love being comfortable, but I find every time I break my routine, it's always for the best. It's always for the best. The routine is something that kills you. It's almost like if you visualize the comfort of sitting down in a cozy place, and you may have dreams and goals that are way off in the distance over the mountains, and it's going to be amazing and great, but that's such a hard journey. And, for now you're comfortable. So you're just going to sit for a little bit, and then suddenly your feet get eaten by the earth, and then like vines are growing all over you and moss and stuff. And then before you know it, you're a stone and you're a part of the earth. And that's a big metaphor for just sitting down and dying. Yay, advice. Keeping moving and keeping that momentum can be very tough, very intimidating, and not appealing some days. Here's a better metaphor. It's like exercise. You don't want to exercise until you are exercising or after you've exercised and you feel good. I might just be saying this because I exercised this morning, but you guys, I seriously, I woke up, I looked around, I'm like, I don't feel like doing this, but I told myself I would. And I'm going through this phase where I'm trying to discipline myself. So, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then 5 minutes in, I was feeling amazing. All I needed to do was get up and breathe heavily. That's just what I wanted to do. It was the thing I needed, but it was the last thing I wanted to do. What was I talking about? That's just all a metaphor of getting used to new things and accepting that breaking your routine is a part of life, and it's going to be amazing. Oh dear. That got rambly. Anyway, I think I have time for one more question. This one is from Hassan Sam saying, "Hey, Mary, I want to go to college for digital media and video production. I've always loved editing videos and pictures. My parents have always told me that I should go into engineering because I like math. Although I do like math, I don't see myself making engineering a career for me. It isn't something I love. Was there ever a time you told someone what you wanted to do and they did not think it was a good idea? How did you handle it? Thanks for your answer to this question. Love your videos." Thank you. Thank you, Hassan. This is such a classic scene where you say, "Mom, Dad, I want to be an artist." And they're like, "No, you need to be a doctor." So yes, I've encountered that. Thankfully not from my parents. They were both incredibly encouraging. I did say to my high school guidance counselor, when I was in high school, I told him my plan was that at the time my plan was I was going to go to film school and I was going to be the next Edgar Wright. I was going to be the next great director. And then I said if that didn't pan out, my backup plan was acting in the theater. Not necessarily in film, theater. I was pretentious. And then if that didn't pan out, then I would be an artist. He told me that I would starve. And then he asked me what my plans were after school as far as education goes. And I told him I wanted to go to a 4-year school because that is the right answer. My sister, I had learned, my older sister, when she was talking to her high school guidance counselor about after high school plans, she told him she was going to go to a community college for a couple of years and, get those credits and then move on from there. And he just stopped talking to her. It was not in his interest. I guess public schools do get some kickback or something for the amount of kids that go to colleges. I don't know. I don't know if it's changed or if that's a thing, but the point is she did not say 4-year school. She did not name a college. And so they stopped talking and working with her and focusing with her. And that's not a good thing, but that's not what this Artcast is about. I'm not going to solve that problem for the world. What am I saying? Okay, so I have encountered that, and I think I tend to personally dodge the conflict and avoid the people who kind of pull me down. But thankfully I didn't run into too much of that, really. I guess the other major time I can remember being told that was when I dropped out of college because I went to film school for 2 years and then I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. I was not on the path toward what I wanted in life, whatever it was. So I did drop out of school, and I was told by somebody who I love and respect dearly and was so good to me. She was like a mom away from home and took care of me. And she told me, well, okay, maybe that wasn't the school for you. However, you should go to a college or a community college and get just a degree, just any degree. Doesn't even have to be in what you want, but you should have that in your arsenal. And I get where that advice is coming from. I'm so glad I didn't do that because that would have been another waste of time and money. So here's where your parents are probably coming from, because all parents, all they want for you is for you to be taken care of. They want you to be okay, and they want nothing bad to happen to you. They're sending you off into the world and they can't protect you all the time. And so they want to just know you're protected. And a lot of times that means that parents will they want you to make a good choice and have a good future. The thing is, what is a good future? There is no one answer to it, but we like to think there is. We like to think that we have it down. We'd like to think there's a manual to life, but there isn't. So then these assumptions bubble up. Like if you become a doctor or if you go to medical school, you will be successful. That's not always the case, as we all saw in that viral video of the drunk girl trashing a guy's Uber. She was a nurse or something like that. She was in medical school and she did not have it together. Not that night. So, pursuing a certain degree or career, it doesn't have a guarantee. But parents want to think it does. It's sort of like if you order a chicken sandwich from a restaurant, you want a guarantee that that's going to be a good chicken sandwich. And you know what? For the most part, because of many things in the world, it might be. But occasionally you're going to get a bad chicken sandwich. And you can complain to the manager, you can sue, but you know what? None of that's going to prevent what just happened, which is a tragedy. To pay for a chicken sandwich that you were hoping was going to be great, and then it's just dry and awful. So the point is, people will react to dreams that they perceive to be crazy because for one reason or another, they perceive it to be crazy. The cool thing is, I just love how there's certain careers that people just assume are home runs. And they assume this is going to just make life easy for you. And art is not one of them. The cool thing is, it sounds like you enjoy math, so you're technically minded, and that's great. Both, people who are really into math and technical and analytical can make beautiful art and enjoy it just as much as abstract weirdos like myself. And the cool thing is that the kind of art that you seem to be wanting to do with editing videos and digital media, that is the kind of art that is in demand. That's the kind of art that you can make money from, and you can get really well-paying jobs from doing that too. And, part of it probably is that your parents just aren't aware of that opportunity and that potential. And so one thing I would suggest is maybe doing some research, looking up the average income of a video editor, or the average income of an animator, or someone who retouches photos, people in careers that utilize the kind of skills that you like and want to develop. And if you can have that research in your back pocket to show to your parents and say, hey, look, this job produces a lot of money on average here. So it's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of a degree. And honestly, those skills are so good for the entertainment industry, which is doing pretty well in general. Like video games are huge right now. Movies, they're needing artists. They're needing people with these skills, and they pay good money, whether you're freelancing or especially if you get a job with a studio. Man, you're good. You get healthcare too. So, as a freelance artist, I was noticing, if you had video editing skills, if you knew Photoshop, if you knew how to alter pictures, like you would always be able to find some sort of gig, especially in LA. So, I think you do what you want to do, because at the end of the day, and when I say at the end of the day, I mean at the end of your life, you are the one who lived it and you're stuck with you. So you might as well make you happy, because you are a roommate you can't escape. And your parents love you, which is why they're not thrilled, and which is why they're pushing you towards something that they feel is safe. So if it helps, if you can produce facts or statistics or numbers for them, you like numbers, you'll be fine with this. I'm terrible with statistics, but if you can do some research and just figure out a good way to show them, hey, I know you're under the impression that engineering is a success. It's a stereotypically good job. However, these kind of jobs that utilize the skills I want to develop also make some good money, and there's security in that, and I will be fine, Mom and Dad. Also, I'm joining a band and I'm going on tour, and you can't stop me. I'm doing drugs. Electric guitar. You don't have to say that last part, but that's how I would phrase it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up part 1 of this video, and I'll put links to part 2 once it's up if you're in the way future, because I'm always in the past. And if you have any questions or anything you want to go in further on or add to, please comment below. I love hearing your feedback, and sharing is caring, so lend your advice too. This has been a very what is the word? We're talking about growing up and life and what comes after school. So this one goes out to the seniors of 2016. Here's to you in your tumultuous time. It gets better. Trust me. There can only be good things and terrible things on the horizon, but the point is there's things, and as long as there's things and stuff, then you'll be fine. You'll at least have something to talk about. In the next part I will do mostly the background of this painting, because that's what took up most of the time and you wouldn't even notice. All right, wrapping it up. Thank you very much for watching, dear Doodlebugs, and until next time,